joined now by Kyle Birkshire, two-time World Long Drive champion. Speed is the name of the game, Kyle, and you find yourself at the center of it. And here we kind of find ourselves at the center of technology as well. Mm-hmm. How important is an event like this to showcase some of the emerging technologies that you're going to showcase at the highest level?
Well, it's just, it just shows the potential of the technology of the golf club. Cobra's Aerojet this year is the first club that I've been had hand in from the very beginning. I remember halfway through 2021 was when we started developing it, and when I first hit the prototype, it was amazing. We have three different heads in the line, from people that are high handicappers who just want maximum forgiveness, all the way up to people that are professional caliber, create a lot of speed, that want low spin and maximum speed. So we really have something for everybody. Better gear effect. The coolest thing I've learned with this head, the ball has a much more flatter flight, so it doesn't fall out of the air. It kind of comes down slowly, and it lands shallow, and it runs out a lot. And I couldn't be more excited to take this thing into battle this year. It's going right in the bag.
Did you ever think, as your career was kind of developing, that you'd be in a position where you were being introduced as a world champion, that you'd be in a position where you were developing a club with a manufacturer? I mean, how surprised are you that that's sort of the path that your career has taken?
Very surprised, because I remember I actually came here in 2017 right as my long drive career was starting. Me and my father drove 12 hours to do a presentation for free for 30 minutes just to get my foot in the door. But I played collegiate golf at the University of North Texas, and I was creating a lot of speed. And when I first got into it in 2017, I only did it because my teammates said, try this qualifier, it's right here. And so I did it to shut them up. I ended up qualifying for the World Championship. Had no clue that I was anywhere close to the top guys. Then I said, all right, well, I guess we'll do the World Championship. And ended up making it to the semifinals, got on television, saw how fun it was, and figured I had potential. And then from there, really started focusing on it, moved to Florida to pursue it more, and then eventually full-time in 2019. Won the World Championship in 2019, won it again in 2021, and here we are. It's amazing how things can lead to something else,
And it sounds like stacking the bricks, hard work on top of hard work, but was there a moment as a young man where you hit one and you felt, oh, okay, I might have a little something else than my buddies who I'm teeing it up with? Was there a day, a month where you took a swing and you said, there might be something here?
So when I was a kid, I actually hit it pretty short.
Okay.
And that's why I gained speed, because I played with a lot of kids that were bigger than me, older than me, and I would sometimes get ribbed for being the shortest hitter. And there was this house at the end of the range, it was like 280 at my home club, and I would spend hours ripping drivers after rounds trying to hit the ball further. Inadvertently, I was actually speed training. I didn't know the concept at the time, but I was training my body to move fast. And then once I started growing, got stronger, my swing was very efficient. It filled out. I got more speed. But there was one drive I hit in my college golf team practice, and it was on the 17th hole. It's a downwind par 5. I've been looking forward to it all day because I knew it was going to be downwind. And the entire team was actually with me at the time because we were playing the last couple holes in together to finish up early, because some groups that were behind us had to go to tutoring earlier that night. And so they were all there to watch it. Hit it as hard as I could. Still remember like it was yesterday. Went about 430, 440. It was like, I think 80, 90 yards clear of everybody else. And that was when I never heard the end of it. That was when I think my path was kind of set in stone at that point. It was just a matter of time before I would get into the sport.
It's like the ugly kid in 7th grade becoming the
it's like
prom king or prom queen.
Yeah,
prom
it's just
queen.
A little glow up,
What when you think about just, I think sometimes people conflate professional golf with long drive. They're like, oh, well, Rory could compete in long drive, or Cam Young could compete in long drive, and it's like, no, you don't. Like, those are wildly different sports. When you look at long drive specifically and the evolution of it since you've gotten into it, has it surprised you how big it's gotten?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely picked up a lot, and I think a lot of that has come from tour pros getting interested in it, and also the long drive pros knowing how to associate with the tour pros and form that bridge and form that communication. In the good old days of the sport, there used to be the sport came from the PGA Championship. They had a long drive event at the PGA Championship, and Lon Hinkle, a PGA Tour at the time, actually won that tournament back in like the early 80s. So we used to be very, very interlocked. And somewhere in the early 90s, late 90s, as it became clear that there were a ton of people who didn't play golf at a professional level that could hit it well past a lot of the pros, it kind of faded a little bit. But obviously Bryson changed everything when he came into it. And he sent me a text a little bit after the World Championship of 2019. And we started talking from that. And then he got involved in 2021, had a heck of a run, an even better run this past year. And he's a very, very, I call him a unicorn because he had enough speed but also the willingness to train. He started speed training in 2019, so he's been doing it for 2 or 3 years. He's training for speed. So it wasn't a shock at all when he did well. But it takes someone very special like Bryson who has the unique skill set to make that leap. And I think it's been good for all parties.
I think we don't have to go down a Bryson rabbit hole, but I think the craziest thing about him is that he was the number 12 player in the world. Yeah. And then he said, I'm going to not change everything, but I'm going to shift things and try to become the best player in the world. That takes some guts when you're already the 12th player in the world,
but
right?
That's how you get there.
It's different if you were the 500th player in the world.
Sure.
There's no risk to changing things up. Yeah. And I think he doesn't get enough credit for taking a risk as the 12th player in the world to go and do that.
Merging those two things and sort of rejoining the ideas, it might be a silly question, but how much golf do you play? I'm not talking speed training. I'm not talking seeing where we can get the numbers. I'm talking 18 holes with the buddies, with the family. How much golf do you play?
So, I mean, I picked up my first golf club when I was 2.5 years old, and I came from a golf background. Mm-hmm. So I took a couple of years away from the sport when I first got in a long drive, kind of burnt out of the game. I had a stretch in my junior years where I went 4 straight years without missing a day of practice. Nowadays, I'm still practicing. Like, I'm able to practice 20 to 30 hours a week now, and there's some pretty big things coming down the pipeline for me potentially on the golf side of things, depending upon how good my game gets throughout this year.
Okay.
I have some long-term goals that I think people might really enjoy seeing and could manifest in a big way in the professional golf stage.
That's fantastic.
Won't promise anything yet. It just depends on how good I get. As you guys might be able to know, golf's a hard game, and competitive golf is even harder. So I'm taking my time with it. It's really been nice because golf used to be what I lived and died by when I was a junior golfer, and now it's like an escape from my day job of long drive. And I find I'm actually playing a lot better, and I'm putting in a good amount of hours. And I have a great setup in Florida to really practice my game. And I'm very aware that a lot of people want to see me at least dip my toe in the professional golf scene, and that's something I want to do. I just want to do it when I feel like I'm ready. And I'm really working hard to get to that point. And it's just a process, but I think there's a good chance it'll happen at some point in the not-so-distant future.
Do you think you would be in the position that you're in without YouTube?
I think so, because when I won my first world title in 2019, I didn't have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And my YouTube channel, I started for 2 reasons. One, the pandemic hit and nearly wiped our sport out. I mean, we were knocked off television. We're back on TV this year. So we're really excited about that with the WLD coming back. But I was like, I have all this extra time, and I know people wanting to watch golf course vlogs, so I just grabbed a couple cameras, had no idea what I was doing with them, and went to my home course and filmed myself playing some golf, and people really liked it. And so I was like, all right, I'll keep going with this, and it was good money, and people seemed to like it. And during the pandemic, it was tough because I lost a lot of my sponsor support because no one knew what was going on. So it was a really nice source of income, and also I feel like a lot of people enjoyed watching it, got their mind off of what was happening during the time. And but it certainly opened doors in terms of visibility. I think it helped people see my personality a little more, having that long-form content, and people got to know me more as a person, not just as a golfer who swings the club fast.
It's definitely, I would say, I don't know about accelerated, but perpetuated your career, and you see a lot of like the good guy. You see a lot of people that are on YouTube performing and creating, and I think that is it's been fascinating because I think for somebody like you 30 years ago, maybe you're competing in long drive or whatever, but you don't necessarily have the brand or the kind of the fame or whatever that you have because you can just put yourself on TV, which I think is such an interesting thing.
Yeah, you broadcast yourself. I think was their original and the thing was, during the 2020 and 2021 long drive seasons, that was where we put our competitions, and they got hundreds hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
And people could still see us compete even when we really had no sponsor support anywhere.
Yeah.
And that was really important, you
Yeah.
know. And then we live streamed on YouTube the last couple of years. But now the World Championship's going to be back on TV with other tour events in Atlanta in late October, and it's going to be extremely exciting.
Long drive, to me, it's always been the pursuit of more, finding that little edge, finding that little extra. With that sort of in mind, where do you think the sport's going?
I remember when I first got into it in 2017, at any given time you might have 2 or 3 guys who can move a golf club 150 miles an hour. Now that number is at least 15 or so. And 160 club speed is starting to really be knocked on the door of. When I first got into it, the record ball speed was 227. Now I set the new record about a month and a half ago, 236.2, and multiple guys have cracked 230. So with the technology and the athletes improving, I mean, it's just going up and up, and you're going to see crazy and crazier speeds, longer and longer distances, and every year to win a world title, I've had to get better to continue to be at the top. And, you know, it's been tough to maintain my ranking, but I love how it's tough. These guys don't make it easy. You know, these guys are always nipping at my heels, and, you know, it's a fraternity. We're very close, but on the grid, we want to beat the crap out of each other.
So you got those numbers, right, KP? You're
I was gonna
knocking
say,
on the door?
I was going to say my ball speed is 160 and not my swing speed. Have you seen a no, I'm not going to ask you that. I'm going to ask you this. What does it feel like to hit a ball 236 miles an hour? Can you tell, like, after you, like, the second you hit it, can you say that was special?
Yes. So when I first went 230 back in 2019, I hit a special part of the club head, and it was just one of those things where I knew if everything had to line up perfectly when I was going for it this one day, and it just is a perfect shot, dead center of the face, and I barely got it. And then when I went 236.2, I actually did it 3 different times in the same session. I thought I had a little more in the tank, but each of those times I knew I hit it hard. But when you get to that kind of speed and that kind of effort level, I mean, your heart rate's in the 180 to 190 beats per minute range. You're sweating. You can barely think. And so imagine trying to line up a golf club with 1 millimeter to get that kind of speed. It has to be less than 1 millimeter high into the side of the center of the face. I mean, that's literally, you probably can't even see on TV, it's literally like that much. And when you're moving at that kind of speed, that kind of effort, you're literally just trying to get lucky and throw the club at the ball and hope it connects. But, you know, when I swing with more control, I'm in the mid-upper 220 ball speed range. That's where I can control and hit the center of the face. And that's where the sport's going. If you want to be a world champion, you have to be swinging at 152 to 154 miles an hour nowadays. But the cool thing is that in the near future, we're going to have a way to handicap things so that the normal person can compete in long drive. So just like in golf, you can handicap a really good player. Mm-hmm. We can actually use, because we can reliably predict how much 1 mile per hour club head speed translates into distance, there's a very good way to handicap it so that people can have a competitive experience in long drive. The reason people don't identify with the sport, even though they might like seeing us hit the ball far, is because they can't have a competitive experience. If you can compete against people in a competitive format with a tournament and winnings on the line with someone who's around your distance, all of a sudden it becomes a lot more relatable and enjoyable. So we're going to be trying to roll that out in the next year or two. It's a concept we've been chewing on for a while, and I think it's going to change the way the sport's perceived, and it's going to make it a lot more accessible, because if someone can watch a sport, that's one thing, but if they can participate, that makes them much more interested and excited to watch the highest level of something that they actually play.
Which tier of swing speed would you be in?
Injured.
This is like
major medical.
One of my friends who's like 35 years old, he just ran his first marathon,
and
he said, "Hey, I qualified for the Boston Marathon." And I was like, wow, really? He said, "Yeah, in the 85-year-old division."
Well, those guys are incredible.
It is a different grid, and you play on the most premier. Yeah. He's the king of speed. Kyle Birkshire, thank you for stopping by, taking some time with us here on CBS.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys having me.
Best of luck.
Thank you.